Our first story will start from the education sector. Negotiations between teacher unions and the Labour and Employment Ministry has ended without any conclusion.
Another meeting has been scheduled for today, Tuesday, to attempt to arrive at a certain resolution of the impasse over salary arrears and allowances. The Coalition of Concerned Teachers and the National Association of Graduate Teachers last week threatened to lay down their tools if the Finance Ministry failed to pay up salary arrears of teachers who have been serving for over 2 years without pay. Kwabena Amprichum has more.
The teachers also accused the Education Minister, Professor Jane Nano Pukwajiman, of failing to deliver on promises to alleviate their plight. The Labour and Employment Relations Minister Haruna Idrisu criticized the stance of the teachers. The Education Minister responded the teachers had no issue because the arrears had already been settled. Joy News sources say government was forced into the negotiation with the teachers after they insisted nothing but the payment of the full arrears will get them to rescind their decision to go on strike. The Labour Ministry says they are confident an amicable settlement will be reached at the second round of talks on Tuesday.
The executive director of the Media Foundation for West Africa says he is disappointed Parliament is not considering the importance of stakeholder input into the new telecoms and package interception messages bill.
The bill, which is currently before Parliament, when passed into law, may infringe a lot on your privacy, according to Suleiman Brahma. The bill is a surveillance bill on public security and stakeholder participation.
I should acknowledge that around the world today, governments are taking all manner of measures to ensure that whilst people's freedoms online is respected, national security and security for persons within a state is also guaranteed. And therefore, it is not surprising for me if a government decides that, well, it is time for us to look into ways by which we can deal with crime that occur online. But at the same time, I think that privacy is an important thing. And so people have asked, would you trade, for example, your privacy for security? And others have said, well, your privacy is part of your security. And therefore, if in an attempt to provide you security, what they do is to breach your security, then what security are we talking about? And so people have talked about the Snowden equation, which is that state security versus individual privacy, which one is paramount? Yes. And that is why our view, and I think that of many, has been that, look, it's important to guarantee security for people because they are bad boys, and bad girls online who are planning all manner of things. But at the same time, people also need to have their privacy guaranteed, which is a fundamental human right. And therefore, for a law like this, it is important that it is subjected to public scrutiny. It is subjected to stakeholder participation. And in fact, that is what the fundamental principle around internet governance is around the world. And I must say at this point that Ghana is one of 3 countries that are members of the Freedom Online Coalition around the world. In Africa, there are only 3 countries, Ghana, Kenya, and Tunisia. Okay. And fundamentally, this group of almost 30 countries have pledged and affirmed that when it comes to freedom of expression online, we would do what it is that would promote freedom of expression online rather than restricting it. And fundamentally, the rights that people have offline should apply to online. And therefore, one would expect that for the government of Ghana to think of coming up with what I would say is a surveillance bill, fundamentally, it is just absolutely right that it is subjected to public discussions, public scrutiny, inputs, and so on. But what did we have? We just had it, and then we were told that we have 2 days to make inputs. And even as people raised concerns last week, we are told that we have 2 weeks.
2 more weeks.
2 more weeks to extend, to submit whatever memoranda we have on this particular bill. So one asks, what is the rush? We've had important bills, such as the Right to Information Bill in Parliament over the last, back and forth over the last decade. And that is something that is about empowering people to legitimately have access to the kind of information they need. It is when people don't have access to information that sometimes they will resort to all manner of ways to get information. Okay.
The Kintampo Government Hospital has had to carry out a mass burial of some of the victims of last Wednesday's tragic road crash at Kintampo in the Bonafo region.
A total of 10 bodies were dumped in the same grave in the mass burial on Sunday. Authorities at the hospital had warned they would have no option than to bury the unidentified and unclaimed bodies. The medical superintendent at the hospital, Dr. Usu Fosu, told Joy News the bodies were going bad. He explained there was inadequate space at the mortuary, which has a capacity of 15 corpses and had already weak refrigeration system. The resultant stench, he says, compelled the hospital to dispose of the bodies the way it did.
In the Ashanti region, farmers at Agogo in the Asante Achim Central District have lost a chunk of their harvest after fire ravaged their farms in a recent incident.
Over 1,000 acres of cultivated land were destroyed in the fire they believe was deliberately started. Mahmoud Muhammad Nuruddin reports.
The fire ravaged mostly plantain farms that provided financial aid to the people of Agogo. Those affected range between peasant farmers and commercial farmers. The victims described the incident as a tragedy.
I invested heavily in this farm with a loan I took from the bank. This has been the livelihood for my family all these years. Now, I've lost everything and the bank will soon come after me.
Forest fire in Ghana is increasingly influenced by activities of farmers and other people who start the fire for various reasons. The affected farm owners are depressed but suspect the blaze was a deliberate act. For these farmers, their livelihood has been shattered and they have to think about a way out of their devastation. Wildfire has become a major cause of forest cover loss and decline in agricultural production in Ghana since 1983, when the entire forest zone was destroyed.
The major occupation for we, the citizens of Asante Achimago, is farming. Both the youth, the aged, and everybody is into it, and that's what we survive on, mostly plantain. And for some time now, we have had atrocities from alien men. We had a couple of it from the Fulanis. They have disturbed us for long. And now, as we speak, what is happening? There's a white man who is with a company called Nico Mairo. And this man has intentionally bent our farms down in order to plant his trees. And so as we speak, as you can see by yourself, we have had about 1,000 acres of land full of plantains being bent down as of now. And now our mothers, our parents, everybody is crying.
It was my son who came to inform me about the activities of these men. According to him, they were using lighter to burn the whole place. Now, as you can see, everything is gone. My livelihood, my farm, and everything. I've since reported the case to the police.
The situation at Agogo is heartbreaking, especially when most farmers are struggling to overcome poverty.
They depend on the farm to pay their school fees, the school fees of their wards. They depend solely on it. And as we speak now, their livelihood has come to an end. If you see them weeping, they're not weeping for anything. They have gone for bank loans. They live on bank loans for their farming activities. And now the banks are after them. Here we are with the farms, as you can see. How are they surviving? Most of them may commit suicide.
Police say 3 suspects are in custody in connection with the fire pending further investigations.
We have made 3 arrests and currently in custody, having been remanded for investigation to continue. So those 3 people are in our custody and they will surely be going to court again on Monday. We have not concluded our investigation. We are still on it, and that is why we have sought for remand so that we will continue and be able to come to a conclusion. And that is when we can be able to know how it came about and then whether there is intentional mindset in it or what otherwise. I think that for the measures, most of it will depend on the farmers themselves and the landowners, because we will be doing patrols, but they have to also, especially those who are in the form of companies, they will have to get some people to be protecting the farm, so that if something happens, they'll be able to see the person who might have done that, which will assist investigations. That we are going to do the best of our side, good investigation. We will make sure that we do what is expected of us as professionals, and so they have to calm down and then do not take the law into their own hands. They should trust us and believe that we'll be able to do the job for them. Trust us and believe that we'll be able to do the job for them.
Well, we hope that something can be done to those farmers who have been worst affected by this very fire. Now let's look at this. Inmates of the whole central prison in the Volta region should no longer be making their way to court in commercial vehicles meant to carry regular commuters.
The mode of transportation, though highly risky, is what authorities have had to rely on for some years now after their vehicles completely broke down. The government has now presented the prison with two new vehicles and a motorbike. The authorities say they could do with more.
The whole central prison's last transfer saw about 40 inmates packed in a 214-seater commercial vehicle together with warden officers. Prison authorities lament that the arrangement poses great challenge to them. These two Mahindra pickups that have been serving the prison have completely broken down and out of use for close to 2 years. Speaking to Joy News, the commander of the prison, DDP Victor Agbelengo, explained that they tried to maintain and keep the vehicles on the road until the vehicles broke down completely. He added that running the prison without vehicles is quite terrible.
I tell you, the prison service has been commended over the years for the ability to maintain its vehicles. These vehicles came at a time when other institutions have been given the vehicle. But it is only with the prison service that you can see most of these vehicles still on the road. We have done our best to maintain all these vehicles all along, but it has gotten to a point that you can no longer maintain them, and that is why they are grounded. But we have done a lot to maintain vehicles, and I know people can attest to it that we have been able to maintain our vehicles for this period. And when it gets to a point, it gets beyond repairs, there is nothing you can do about it again.
Fortunately, government has presented a 30-seater Nissan bus to the male cells and a Nissan saloon car to the female cells of the whole central prison. The facility has also received a motorbike. That notwithstanding, DDP Victor Agbelengo says the command still needs more vehicles.
I don't have a command vehicle, so in fact, at times going on certain distances is quite challenging. But there is the assurance, or there is the information that government wants to still give us vehicles. So we expect that when such issues come up, they will give us a vehicle, a command vehicle, and we also want something like a pickup to facilitate in the conveyance of for short distances, and then if the number of the prisoners is not quite high, we can use that one to convey them. I must personally commend government, the service council, for the way they have handled our issues. In fact, they've done a lot for us by making sure that at least we get this fleet of vehicles that have come into the system right now for us to be able to operate and to manage issues. And so we want to appreciate them and want to appreciate the current crop of directorates for the way they are going about the things, the way they are handling situations.
The situation is not different at the Kpandu and Kitekrachi prisons, where authorities have challenges with the unavailability of vehicles. Fred Kwame Asari's report from Volta region.
Well, the outgoing managing director of Zenith Bank, Daniel Siedu, is heading to ADB as its new managing director.
According to a statement issued by the bank's board and signed by its chairman, Nana Sogloalo IV, Mr. Siedu's appointment takes effect from March 1, 2016. This is what Joy Business picked up from members of ADB board after it selected Mr. Siedu among other individuals shortlisted for the job. George Riafe has been engaging some individuals with knowledge about Mr. Siedu's appointment and now reports.
According to the source, the board is even willing to allow Mr. Siedu to bring in some additional members to support the executive team if he wants to help him achieve his strategic vision for the bank. The source adds the board believes that this might be the only way Mr. Siedu can bring about the expertise on board to help with the bank's transition from a state bank to a private entity. That is, if its initial public offering is successful. Typically, some state banks have had challenges with interference from government on some strategic decisions. Therefore, the concern here is that the expected changes or transformation that industry watchers are looking forward to might not be realized. Well, for some, if this assurance from the board is anything to go by, then a lot will be expected from Mr. Siedu, especially because the board had to go outside certain persons that were shortlisted to pick Daniel Siedu to head the bank.
Car dealers are complaining ECOWAS common external tariff systems, which took effect on the 1st of this month, has resulted in a higher price range of vehicles.
According to them, the new tax regime was unduly increased or has increased their cost of operations, and they have no option but to pass it on to consumers by increasing the prices of their vehicles.
According to the dealers, under the new ECOWAS common external tariff system, the import duty for saloon cars has shot up from 5% to 10%, whilst that of sports utility vehicles (SUVs) have also increased from 10 to 20%. They explained that these hikes, coupled with tough economic environment, have resulted in higher prices for their vehicles.
This is a Yaris 1.5 automatic, and this is currently going for 86,000 Ghana cedis. Well, the general taxes, as was explained, jumped from 10% to 20%, but we had a 7% increase in our prices. So this is a Prado KD automatic. It's KD because it has a turbo-fitted engine. This currently goes for 300,000 Ghana cedis.
Vehicles below 1,005 has been increased by 5% and 10% to 20%. So relatively, for lower cars or smaller passenger cars is 5% more to become 10%, and the SUVs added 10% more.
What happens is that the salon cars has increased. The salon cars have increased by not less than 5%. That's about 4%, and then that's on the overall price. What's happening is that the import duty itself has increased by 5%.
Joy Business has also been speaking with some second-hand car dealers who also added their voice to the concern.
As for the increase there, even if without the tax, when the currency goes up, the duty that we pay also goes up because they always check the duties on a foreign currency, either dollars or euro. You see, and also they come up with an increase of taxes. So it's both sides.
The cost is the increase of the duties and all that. Well, it used to be 5%, and now they have increased it to 10%.
But the principal economic officer at the Ministry of Finance, Benjamin Ayensu Kwafu, also explained to Joy Business vehicles are part of the items largely enjoying tax reliefs under the ECOWAS CET.
When we look at vehicles, the CET, under the CET is 20%. But Ghana said, no, we can't do that. So we still maintain our rate of 5% vehicles. So by all other UMOMA countries, all the French-speaking countries, they apply 20% as import duty on vehicles. But so Ghana, we did not change any of our rates.
Meanwhile, prices of second-hand vehicles are reported to have gone up by over 25% within the last year due to the cedi depreciation and taxes, among other factors, at the country's ports.
Well, a lot more enlightenment and insights there, but that'll be it for the news for the morning.
Yeah, let's get on to some of your messages on WhatsApp now. If someone hurts you, Roland, don't mind it.
I won't.
It is the law of nature. The tree that bears the sweetest fruits gets the maximum number of stones. And it's a good morning to Mama V and Roland. You guys are always the morning makers. God richly bless you.
Oh, that's great.
God
That's from
richly
who?
bless you too. Love Mac. And Love Mac is at Dudi. Papasi. Yeah.
Well, we're waiting for that one. Have you seen a Humka inspiration this morning?
It will definitely
Usually.
be there.
Okay, I'm sure.
Okay.
You have a couple of the messages
yes,
you want
I do.
to read?
Let me read a few. Good morning, Roland and Mama V. You look good this morning. God
Thank
bless you for your good work. I always enjoy your morning shows. But let me ask, are you we're not a cop hole? Idrisu Binde in the northern region. I'm not sure our bosses would have allowed it anyway. Oh,
no.
I love him like I do. This was the opening song. Thank you for enjoying the show, Idrisu. And is it Binde? Bindi.
Bindi.
It's in the northern region. Okay. Start by doing what's necessary, then do what's possible, and suddenly you are doing the impossible. Mama V and Roland, perfect. Tete Joshua Edem in Ho sending us that brilliant message.
Thanks very much, Edem.
Let me read two more and then we'll come back and do the headlines. Good morning, Roland, Mama V. Keep up your good works. Please tell the IGP to quickly arrest the Director General of GES for paying teachers with fake certificates, as he has alleged for him to provide his evidence of the fake certificates, do you understand, being used by the teachers. From Ruben in Breman Esikuma. Okay, I'll carry your message of the IGP should arrest the Director of the GES because he's allowed controller to pay people with fake certificates. This one says, I'm still waiting for my answer, but you're finding out from the Agricultural Minister about the agricultural college's student employment after completion. Zachariah in Achim Achianse. Thank you for your understanding. We're arranging to have the Agric Minister on the show sometime soon, so just hang in there. We'll ask your question for him, for you. This one says, this is Okonko in Ho. You must thank God that Roland did not plug out your left eye when he was doing the dance. Hey, Roland, is that how you dance? Yeah. Oh, he is like that, like this. I have to put some swag in his system, you know.
Yes, yeah.
Swag is like that.
So that my reflexes will dance according to the rhythm.
This one says, good morning. It's always a pleasure watching the AM show, and my greetings to you, Mama V and Roland, for the wonderful work you're doing. Keep it up. It's from Abdullah Abdul Razak in Tamale, who is always definitely watching the show.
Abdul, that's about.
Yeah. Okay. We will come back with the headlines. But Charlie Roland, swag is, you know, like this is swag. This is swag, y'all. Swag.
All right, so that'll be it for the news. And next, we have to look at what the stories are on the front back page of the newspapers.
Yeah.
We have a couple of them in the studio. We'll also be looking at Major Online and then also other news portals. So please, this is the dial to be right here.
All right, stay with us.